It's after midnight, and it's time for conversations about love, family, friends, sex, and life. It's Love and Life with Carol Riddick and Donavan West, only on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
Well, hello there, family, and welcome to yet another episode of Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. We're at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. And I must say that I am personally so happy that you are joining us. It's always a pleasure to spend some time with you. A pleasure and a privilege, I must say. I like to take temperature. Every time we get together, you know that I like to know how things are going with you. I appreciate those of you that have been communicating with me via email. Well, communicating with us. My alternating co-host, Donavan West, who sends his love always, always, always. But I must say, I really do appreciate that you guys are showing so much love. It means more than I can express, actually. It really, really does, but it feels so good. Um, I'm praying for you and yours always. I want you to know that because everybody needs just a little help and a little extra sometimes. And I want you to know that even if you don't feel like you have that, know that we here at Love and Life, especially and particularly me, um, is praying for you. Okay. I want you to know that. We're on the heels of Black History Month. I hope you guys did some things to really, really celebrate. This was the first year that I was anxious to find something new to do, and it actually worked out well for me. I appreciate those of you who gave me suggestions when I asked. That was really, really cool and appreciated. So here we are. Here we are running into Women's History Month. Hello. Hello. I am happy about that. I must say that it's always a pleasure to celebrate. I love celebrating life, so it's always a pleasure to have something to celebrate. On a dimmer light, I just want to send some extra love and light to those in the Ukraine and Russia. The situation there, as we all know, is taxing and trying, and I'm sending love. You all know I'm a love bug. You know that I am. I also want to extend some love to or around everything happening with and around our HBCUs. And you know what? I'm sending love and light and extra to those of you who have a dim light, and to those of you who have something happening with and or around you. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to tonight's guest. When I was thinking about how to introduce him, I said, okay, there's so much that I can say. But what I will say is that he is phenomenal. He is an amazing artist. He's it's so funny because you can't when you begin expressing how you feel about a person and describing them and you think of the adjectives, you don't want one person to get stuck on one adjective. So there's so much that encompasses our guest that I want him to tell you all of who he is, because I'm excited to share him with those of you who are unfamiliar. He's helped so many I can't even say in the industry. I cannot even say that but he's helped so many individuals, and he's been instrumental in the health and well-being and the overall wellness of so many people on so many levels too. But let me stop talking, okay? Because he is our guest tonight, and I want you to know him if you do not already. Family, help me welcome into the room Dr. Owen Brown. Hi there, Owen. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Peace and joy.
Oh, thank you. I
I'm glad to
received
be
that.
here on your show.
Let me tell you that I am grateful that you are joining us, and I thank you, if I have not already offline, for accommodating and obliging. You are appreciated. Oh, he's
I
looking.
thank you for the invitation.
You,
And I'm gonna. Hopefully, I can bring something to someone out there who's listening, bring some joy into their day, as you have already done.
oh, thank you. I believe you will. Here
Hmm.
on Love and Life is
Hmm.
where we talk about everything under the umbrellas of love and
Hmm.
life. And
Awesome,
it is my
awesome,
personal
awesome.
belief that there's something from everybody's story that can be a morsel, a
Mm,
helpful little pearl that can be put into the pocket of another individual to help
mm,
them on their journey, going forward.
mhm,
So I
mhm,
believe you. I believe you will,
mm.
Owen. I believe you will. Dr. Brown, I should say, Dr. Owen Brown Jr. That's what okay,
Awesome,
let me get that right.
awesome.
Let me get that right. So, Dr. Brown, would you please, for our family members who are unfamiliar, would you please tell us who you are? Tell us about your humble
Okay.
beginnings from where you come.
My story starts actually in two places. One of them starts in Jamaica, and the other starts in Harrisburg. My mother was from Harrisburg, and my father was from Jamaica. And so
Hmm.
they meet. My father opens up a business in London. They actually meet somewhere in Pennsylvania. I don't know why he was here to this day, but he came through. They meet, fall in love, and the next thing you know, she moves off to London, where I am born. And so the first few years of my life, I'm a British citizen. And you're right. So what I didn't know then that I found out later was that my father was a trumpet player. He kind of kept it under wraps from me. And he used to play at nightclubs, well, as a jazz trumpeter. And he winds up doing the teeth for all of these various saxophonists, all of the high end. If you name a high end saxophonist, if they had a dental problem, he was doing their teeth. So he's like a jazz dentist.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so when I was a baby, my father's playing these Charlie Parker records over the crib,
Mm,
trying to influence my direction.
hmm
And you know, thinking from those beginnings, my life, even though I was very interested in science, I was always drawn to music. And it came out that it was like, man, I was singing everywhere.
hmm
And I always wanted to play and do this, but the family had made up its mind, you know what? You will be a doctor. And that's it, period.
Wow. You know,
Yeah.
it's always so
So,
interesting to me.
mhm.
Oh, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, it was really kind of a tear between these two personalities, thinking that they were different because that's how people presented it to me. But
Hmm
actually, they are not that different. Music and science work perfectly well together. And I have found a lot of musicians also had science backgrounds. So in my early years, while I'm a double A student, like I always did the extra credit, the this, the that, had little scholarships to go study this and study that. And I got early encouragement from a lot of special people. I met Muhammad Ali when I was like 9 years old. And he's encouraging, he's talking about, listen, I have a lot of faith in what you're going to do and what you're going to be. And then for some strange, not strange, blessed reason, every year I would run into him again. It didn't matter where I was. He would turn around and go, "You."
Wait,
So
how did you meet
um,
him? How did you meet Muhammad Ali?
there were some people coming to a place where Muhammad Ali was talking, and they said, "Hey, come on, take a ride with us." They brought me with them in a car ride. All I can remember is hearing the Temptation music playing in the background, and we're on our right. And he's speaking at a place somewhere here in Philadelphia.
Huh.
And I met him, and the next time I see him, I'm living in New York. And I consistently kept seeing him over and over. So Muhammad Ali becomes one of those people who has input, who's always encouraging me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's a section of my life where it seemed like if I turned around and did anything, that there was a celebrity right there. And
Mm-hmm.
I look at that as a blessing and a sign that I was supposed to go near the arts in some form or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, during my early years, I wind up actually starting to uh, sing. And I got so serious about my singing that my mother was like, no, wrong. You're going to be a doctor. This is what you're going to do. Right. So I emancipated myself very early so I could focus on music.
So let me ask you this. At what age did you, okay, you were
Uh-huh.
born in London. At what age did you arrive in Philadelphia? Or how did you
Yes.
get to Philadelphia?
Okay. I come to Philadelphia many years later. I
Okay.
came I came to from London to, I believe it was Harrisburg first. Then I lived in Baltimore. Then I lived in New York for several years. And then from New York, I came to Pennsylvania. And then from there, I finally wound up in Philadelphia. So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I love
It's
it
a
though.
it's a twisted tale of experiences, and I'm thankful for all of them. But people have always asked me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Whoa, we don't have time for that. Let's just say Earth." You know. So,
I
yes,
like that. But you know what that
yes,
contributes to the many influences
yes.
that comprise Dr. Owen Brown
Hmm.
Jr.
Yes,
So at a very young age, you were a musician, but the family
yes,
was driving you into medicine.
yes, yes.
So was
So
that
when
both?
I first so when I first made the choice, because it's already in my head, and that's why we talk about what we hear and what we say. When I first go to school, I go to school for biology.
Oh wow. You went to college for biology?
Yes, that's what I went to school for first. And while I was in there, I kept taking music classes.
Following your passion. Isn't that something?
Yes, yes, yes.
It's always our
Hmm.
passion that drives us. It always amazes me how we follow the light. Our passion is that light,
Yes.
and we
Hmm.
are so drawn. We are the moth to the flame. Well, no, that's not a good one
Hmm.
because that's not a good analogy. I don't want to say that our passion is the flame, but we are drawn. Right, right. We are drawn. I
Yes.
know, I know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, what I want to know now, because I want to make sure I have all of the pieces of the puzzle together.
Hmm.
So you were
Hmm.
born in
Hmm.
London, but you were
Born in London.
your parents were together then? You remained because I know you said you
Yes, my parents were together, but as couples will do, this one did not work. So my
okay,
mother leaves London and
okay.
comes back to the United States to her roots in Pennsylvania. And this is the part where everything gets interesting because I wind up coming to Philadelphia because I was going to go to school. This is like later. This is
Mm.
after being in the military as a medic. I did a lot of things in a short period of time, including running a bakery. I
Uh,
opened my own.
okay, we
Yeah,
need all of that, okay? Because
yeah,
just
yeah.
how?
Okay, all right, all right.
Take us
Okay.
through the journey.
Um, I love I love to cook. I come
Okay,
from a family of people who can cook, and when I was very young, my mother was a part of a bakery that serviced the entire part of New York, and I learned how to cook and how to bake. Probably, that's about age of 10, 11 years old. I'm in food already. So by
wow.
21, I had my own bakery and people working underneath of me, and I had people driving around servicing my products. I got up every day at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, with the flour and the this and the that. Went out and made runs, and and I was
Wait,
a thriving entrepreneur.
where was the bakery located?
This bakery was located in Harrisburg.
In Harrisburg. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Be patient with me for one moment. So you were born in London. You can from London. Wait, because I'm trying
Yeah.
to get this timeline together. You're born in London. Mom says, "Okay, I want to go
Okay.
back to Harrisburg."
Yes.
So you go back to Harrisburg with mom,
Right.
and then
Yes.
and
Then
then
we move a few cities.
okay. So when did you begin? Okay, I
Right.
know.
We move a few cities.
Okay, I know at 9 you met Muhammad Ali because you were playing. You were playing. So
Right. Right.
when did you begin play? When did both things happen? Two, when did you begin playing, and when did you begin cooking?
If I had to say one, I started cooking first,
Okay, okay,
and because that was around 9 or 10.
okay.
I am amazed at how much we can get done in a year. I I've looked at my life and said, what happened between 15 and 16? And it's like all this stuff is in it, and I barely believe that you can actually do all of that in 1 year. But it is possible. Our lives are so much broader and bigger than what we get out of them. And
Agreed.
when I look at my life and I talk to other people who tell me I don't have the time or I don't have the ability or the door hasn't been opened, and I say, your life is so much bigger than you think it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
really is. And if we spend more time telling ourselves what we can do and putting a prayer in one hand and some work in the other, we can
Mm-hmm.
get so much more done. So I don't start playing an instrument seriously until 23.
Until the age of 23?
That's right.
Oh
I
wow.
started the violin at 23, and
Okay.
too many but from 23 to 26, I'm on the road.
Okay.
So I had to
Nice.
figure out about 10 years of violin in 3 years.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Heavens
In
to
that in that
Murgatroyd.
same little in that same little box of time, I did the military. Did the Army National Guard, and I was trained as a combat medic.
Okay. I want to pause there for a moment. I really am interested in knowing about that, your time in the military.
Mm-hmm,
Number one, what
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
what led to your decision to join the military? Number that will be my first question. What was the deciding factor? What was the determinant? Why did you join the military?
I was a young father at this time in my life, and
Mhm.
I wanted to have something in case something didn't go right amongst my other plans. And to be honest, I had a lot of people who spoke doubt into my path. And
Mm.
it made me feel like, well, what if they're right? Let me make sure I have one other thing
Mhm.
that my children could fall back on. Because I also, in this time, I became a parent. So now I wanted to make sure I had that other thing there. And the
Sure.
military, they showed me this picture of this person helping someone gently as they needed
Mm.
medical care. And I said, oh, that looks like I can do that top of my head. I'm a bio guy. I'll walk right through that. What they
Sure.
didn't clearly say to me was, this is a combat job you're being trained for.
Mm. Yeah, that's a big difference. That is a huge difference. I'm going to
It
take a
is.
moment. Family,
It is.
if you
Mhm.
are just tuning in, you are tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. We're at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. And we're happy that you're joining us. We're happy to know that you are there, especially our family members on our socials. We know that you are there, and we are so grateful to you as well for joining us. We are joined by Dr. Owen Brown Jr. We are talking about his life. We are talking about health, wellness, living a healthy life, having healthy, just having a healthy existence. How about that? But we're doing that, but we're going to take a break for just a moment. And when we come back, we're going to hear some more of Dr. Brown's story. So stay with us because we'll be right back.
Word on Jobs.
A new year is here, and if you're searching for new career goals or a new job that fits your skill set, visit wordworks.com to view jobs and program opportunities, including Community Relations Coordinator for WHYY, Disability Services Director for NBME, and Policy Director for Bicycle Coalition of Greater Philadelphia. Visit WordWorks at word.com and find the career opportunity that's right for you. Brought to you by Pico and Livelihood at Word Radio.
Imagine you on a deserted island all by yourself, or even being in a crowd of people yet still feeling alone. That's what being a victim of sexual assault can feel like. Victims of sexual assault are at an increased risk for developing depression, PTSD, substance abuse, eating disorders, and anxiety. Sexual assault can happen to anyone and is any unwanted sexual contact such as unwanted touching, fondling, groping, or even rape. No always means no, so speak up and speak out. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Black Americans have died of COVID-19 at over 2 times the rate of white counterparts. This is due to systemic racism and healthcare disparities. Here are some tips for protecting yourself. Wear a mask covering your mouth and nose. Avoid crowds. Wash your hands with soap and water. Use alcohol-based sanitizers. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Practice social distancing and follow World Health Organization guidelines. Quarantine if you've been exposed to the virus. Self-isolate if you're experiencing symptoms. Seek medical attention if you experience difficulty breathing, a fever, cough, sudden confusion, or pressure in your chest. If you don't have health insurance or a healthcare provider, try contacting your state health department, community health clinics, or local hospitals for testing and treatment. Together, we can stay informed and empowered. This public service announcement is from the National Black Cultural Information Trust.
When I cross the finish line, it's not just me. I succeed because of others. When I was pregnant, I survived because of others. At 32 weeks, I was diagnosed with preeclampsia and had an emergency C-section. Because my doctor took quick action and my husband was there to help me, I'm alive. Too many women die of pregnancy-related complications, and most are preventable. If you or someone you know is pregnant or recently had a baby, learn the warning signs. It could help save her life. Hear her.
For the Indianapolis Colts. Becoming a running back was no easy task for me, but it's nothing compared to what my amazing mom faces every day. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14 years old, yet she's always there for me, every step of the way, despite her own battles. And the Muscular Dystrophy Association is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Their research is helping find cures and save lives. Watching my mom go through her daily struggles and the care she receives from MDA has made me determined to help find a cure for neuromuscular disease. That is why I support MDA, and that's why I'm so grateful to others who do too. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today.
Hi, I'm Tanya Hopkins, aka The Food Griot, the host of Savory and Sweet, a new show about food, history, and culture. Savory and Sweet is a flavorful exploration of food, marinated in the Black experience, seared with history and braised in culture. Each week, I'll fold in conversations that center food and drink at the intersection of business, health and well-being, entertainment, education, and innovation, while separating the facts from fiction on the sometimes surprising origins of what we eat and drink. So join me, the Food Griot, and special guests for Savory and Sweet, Food, History, and Culture every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. beginning January 2nd, 2022, exclusively on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media.
Hey there, family. Welcome back. You are tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. We're at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. And we are joined by none other than Dr. Owen Brown Jr. It's such a pleasure to have him here, but I want to make you aware, for those of you who have just joined us, that prior to the break, Dr. Brown was expressing about oh my goodness, we were putting the pieces together because he was talking about having gone to school for medicine and having a familial background in medicine, and but having a passion for music. And
Right.
Dr. Brown, you expressed that you started playing at a very young age, you started baking at a young age, which we're going to go back to, but you also enlisted in the military at a very young age because you were
Mm-hmm.
thinking about providing for your family. You were a new dad and you
Right.
wanted to provide for
Mm-hmm.
your child. Please tell me. So you said you had been on the road, you had been playing violin.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that
Mm-hmm.
transition, having been in. I mean, they're two totally different worlds, because you said it was culture shock when you
Oh,
got into
okay.
the military.
So yeah, so let's put it in order. I've gone to school,
Okay.
and now I am a family person, and at the same time, I have these other things that I'm interested in. I
Mhm.
start the violin, and somewhere in there is why I go in the military. And once I go into the military, I become known as Fiddler Brown because there's all of these. There's 100 million Browns in the military. It's a very common name. So when they would do mail call, they would announce John, this, Harry, letter, the Fiddler.
Oh, I love it. I love that.
Yeah, and so on Fort Jackson and Fort Sam Houston, Texas, and wherever I was, to differentiate me from everyone else, they didn't call me. They didn't call me by my first name. They just called me Fiddler.
Fiddler.
And
Yeah.
I
Well.
kept my violin right next to my rifle.
Oh, wow. Wait.
The violin sits right next to the right inside of my locker. The violin's there, right there with it.
Wow. So you were playing while in the military. You
Yeah,
were playing as well.
on the base. Right. So when someone would leave, if it like when everyone would go on break, I
Uh-huh.
would say, "Can I just stay here?" Because it would be this huge place I could practice in.
Oh.
So I'm practicing on this instrument on an army base, where especially Fort Sam Houston, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
practicing while everyone else is gone. And
What?
I got an official boot off of the base one time. The master sergeant said, "If you don't leave off this base and go get a life, I'm going to put you to work since you're going to stay here." Because the only reason I'm on this base is for you.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
because he had to man the base because you were there.
Yeah.
So wait, so he was your
Right.
audience, basically.
There's one guy.
And there.
Yes. Or well, he was manning the desk, and I used the entire bay or whatever we had as my practice arena, and I would work out and then play the violin and sing. And it was a great rehearsal hall. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Wow.
So somewhere in there, in those periods of times, I come to Philadelphia and I start at Temple University, but I meet a man named Sun Ra. And against my better judgment, Sun Ra wants me to play violin in his band because I was like, I'm not ready. And he throws me in there next to a bunch of legends and says, "Guess who's got the first solo?" And I'm looking at him like, no. So he would have me do this in front of like an audience of 5,000 people. It was.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a way to
Yeah.
test your skills.
Yeah. And if I was not quite on it, I might get sat out at the front of the stage. He says, now I'm really going to make you go sit in that spot, stay in the front of the band right out there.
Oh, wow. Okay, so with
Yeah.
I cannot imagine.
That meant you missed the groove a few times. So,
Yeah.
so they had a thing called the Sun Ra jail.
The Sun Ra jail. Okay, well,
Yes.
we're going to hope
Yeah.
that you weren't put in the Sun Ra jail. We're going to hope not, at least not too many times.
Not too many times. Once or twice was all it took.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
But yes. You know anything about Sun Ra? He was one of those people who believed in 7 to 8 hour rehearsals. And when rehearsal was over at 11, 12 o'clock, when the whole band is about to leave, he would then grab my shoulders. I'm about to walk out the door. So, where do you think you're going? And I'm like, I'm leaving to go home. I have a test tomorrow. And he's like, but we didn't run your vocals. So then he would sit there and make me sing for the next 2 hours.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just rehearsed.
He said you can sing. Yes. He said
you just rehearsed
like
as an instrumental.
You cannot swing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. He said you
Okay.
can't swing. So he's going to show me how. He's going to show me jazz phrasing and work these things over. And a lot of people don't know this, but little Jimmy Scott was once a part of the Sun Ra band.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All this history.
So it was like, yeah. So Sonny, who was an arranger for Fletcher Henderson, Cy Oliver, and things like that, is sitting there drilling phrasing into me and drilling phrasing. And it changed how I looked at sound production and how I looked at music. You know, he really was molding me fast and quick, saying, you've got to get this. We're in Rome next week.
Wow. Wait, so now at what age were you during this time? How old were you during this time?
This is about 26.
Oh, wow. You were a baby.
Now, remember, I just started the violin at 23. I started the violin at 23.
You were a baby.
And yes. Yeah.
Okay, so now so this is when you talk about honing your craft, and you talk about having mentors, you talk about mentorship, you talk about honing your craft, and you talk about getting an education. I mean, that there's no there's no other way to describe it here, because you've got one of the greats, and you've got some of the greats. I can't even just say just one. You've got some of the greats giving you instruction in different areas.
Right.
So with regard to being an instrumentalist and a vocalist.
In every area.
Yeah, because vocals are an instrument as well. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So okay, so
right.
So during this time, what's family life like?
During this time, what I found was that I was sacrificing a lot of things. I would make time to be with my children, and to do that often meant skipping a gig, or a part of a tour.
Oh, wow.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this part of the tour. This one I'm going to turn down. This one I'm going to take. This one I'm going to turn down. And my children were starting to get a little older. And I was like, I don't think it's good for them to not see their dad as much. And you're trying to be supportive of your family life, supportive of your mother, just support everyone, and try and do your best that you can help your mother, father, children, these kinds of things. My personal life stayed in a certain kind of flux, because it takes a lot to believe in someone else's dream.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
when you see someone and he says he's going to sing, and he's going to play, and he's going to dance, or he's going to draw, or he's going to do anything creative, especially inside of the African American community, our model is that you're not successful unless you're Michael Jackson, or unless you're a Whitney Houston or these
Mm-hmm.
other things, when actually there's millions of other people who are having lives working in the arts, but you will not see them on TV every day. They
Right.
are having successful lives. They're paying their bills. They have relationships with their families, and they get to tour and to travel. So I think most relationships were going to suffer somewhat because of our community thing that we've branded on musicians and artists. I was
Mm-hmm.
a normal, well, okay, somewhat normal. All right, a little normal person, but the
What
but
is
the
normal?
idea, well, what is normal, right? So the idea that somebody could start a violin at 23 and take it serious. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I practiced 8 hours a day when I started,
Wow.
and
Wow.
uh, was playing the Mellon Jazz Festival at like 27, 28.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
lot to do in 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And the
absolutely.
military and help your children with their take their first steps and all
With
these kind of, it's a
life.
lot to do. It's a
Yes, with
lot to do.
life. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's a lot of
Hmm.
life at such a
Yeah.
young age. A lot of life
Yeah.
at such a young age.
Right.
So by this time
Yes.
you had the bakery and it was now behind you. You no longer had the bakery at this
It
time.
was
Is that
behind it was behind me, and my focus was, uh, at this time, was make sure you excel at everything the military gave me for medical needs, and I aced through all of that.
mm-hmm.
And make sure you're a decent dad, and make sure that your music is top notch. So I practice my vocals every day, and by this time, I had already taken on my first voice students. I started teaching voice. I took my first voice lesson under Gilbert Price at the Black Theater Alliance when I was
Gilbert
16 years old.
Oh wow.
Remember a
Okay.
show called Timbuktu?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay, Eartha Kitt, Gilbert Price, Melba Moore. So these are the kind of people out that I saw at 16 and was being influenced by.
Mm-hmm.
And I still didn't have a clear way to turn it into a business, but it was starting to make itself evident. And so by the age of 23, I've got, a good 6, 7 years of training behind me, and
Mm-hmm.
was able to start sharing some of what I learned with other people. Went to into a education and performance degree at
Mm.
Temple University, but I also, by this time, had done a few other side studies along the way. I never stopped studying. I always kept studying. I'm going to take lessons. I'm going to study with everybody I can find and just keep learning and just keep growing. You know.
Sure.
So by the time I actually get into Temple,
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty much at a doctorate level in terms of technique.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. That's a lot right there. So by the time what you say you acquired a degree in education and performance from Temple.
Hmm. Right.
At at what point
Actually, I finished out in performance.
you finished out in performance?
That's
Wow. So
I
during this
finished
time,
out in perform. I have some issues with traditional education.
okay. Well, I want to hear all about that. But listen, before you share that, because I definitely want to hear what the issues are with traditional education. I'm sure there are a lot of like-minded individuals. But family, if you are just joining us, you're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. We're at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. As you know, tonight's episode is about a healthy life, living a healthy life. And we're talking with Dr. Owen Brown Jr. We're talking about his life because I want you to know just who he is. I want you to be familiar. I say when you know better, you do better. So when you know more about an individual, it helps a little bit when you take those pearls of wisdom that they impart. So Dr. Brown is going to share some more of his wisdom, and he's going to share with us even more things about his journey that I think we might all find a little helpful. So stay with us as we take our commercial break and we come right back. We'll see you in a second, okay?
What's up, y'all? It's Janae Latrice and Kayla J. Be sure to tune in Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. for Crosswords, sharing conversations across generations, right here on WURD. Progressive Black Talk Media. We'll see you there.
I remember this one moment. I ran to kind of the water edge, and my mom said something along the lines of like, now it's your turn. Take that first step. When I became a mom myself, I feel like my whole world changed. There's some light within her that makes me continue to do the climate science work that I do. You don't have to be a climate scientist to want to protect the earth. As moms, we care about our children and the environment they grow up in. And for Mia, I want you to know that I worked really hard to be a part of the change and to make it a better place for you.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. I realized it started with me going back and get my high school diploma.
We're often influenced by what we see or hear on social media. Beware of disinformation campaigns targeting Black communities by using cultural issues to incite divisions, spread false information, and negatively influence public opinions. We're in this together, and together we can stay informed and empowered. Learn more at nbcit.org. This public service announcement is from the National Black Cultural Information Trust.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind. Take this time to talk and get it right. You know I'll be there all your life. When you need me, I'll be by your side. By your side. And every day is a different day. Everything is in everything. Even when you think things can never ever be the same. Don't be scared of the world, I'll be here to stay. By your side. Even when your heart ain't listening, or your mind takes you a different way, towards a different path. All you gotta do is sit and ask. When you need me, I'll be by your side.
When the adults in a child's life talk early and often about the dangers of underage drinking, the message gets stronger every time.
I'll be by your side.
Talk. They hear you.
Hey, still shopping for the new year? Or did you receive a gift card for the holidays? Either way, Word Radio's got you covered. Visit wordradio.com and shop at the Word Virtual Marketplace. You can support local, small, Black-owned businesses through the marketplace and shop today. Visit wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Hey there, family. Welcome back. You are tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. We're at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. And we are joined by Dr. Owen Brown Jr. tonight, who is sharing with us about his journey. As we know him to be the vocal scientist. What I want to do right now, before we go any further, I want to make sure everybody knows exactly how they can reach you on social media, because we're about to get into some things about how the two mesh, the vocalist and the scientist.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about that more in just a few moments. But before we do so, I want to make sure everyone knows exactly how they can find you. So please do tell.
Okay. Well, it's lately the IG has become the favorite place to find me. I'm always giving. I'm always giving, and I'm always interacting with people. But IG is it's quite easy to find me. Go on IG and look for me at The Vocal Scientist. And if you're looking for me as an artist, you can always look for The Owen Valentine. The Owen Valentine. That's my more artistic pursuits, and my more vocalist and musician-based pursuits are going to be found over at The Vocal Scientist. And there'll be some other things that you'll be able to see from there. I'll give those a plug from those those pages. Also, there's thevocalscientist.com, which is which is I should plug that, right? Yeah.
Yes, that's important. That's very important. Okay, so family, you've heard that. You've heard that you can find Dr. Owen Brown Jr. on IG at The Vocal Scientist, or The Owen Valentine, because I know you all are familiar with him as an artist as well. I want to focus on his history with regard to medicine tonight, though, because we want to show and demonstrate who he is in totality. But for those of you who just want to go to the website and read some other things for yourself, you can do so by visiting thevocalscientist.com. I want to make sure our family members know and are aware that if you want to communicate with us as well, with me or my alternating co-host, Donavan West, you can do so by emailing us at loveandlife@wordradio.com. That's loveandlife@WURDradio.com. We'd love to hear from you. I tell you that all the time. That's how you know it's true. In any event, I want to continue the conversation. Before we went to break, you made a statement, and I said, I'm going to come back to this, because you said you have an issue with traditional education. Is that overall, or as it pertains to education with regard to performance?
It says education overall. And to give you a hint of this, I'm going to take you all the way back to one other chapter of my life, which is important, that I did not mention. I entered the martial arts also at the age of 9.
Oh, wow. Wow. Owen.
So that means every day, 7 days a week, you're doing either kung fu or karate or jujitsu or other varieties of martial arts. And that becomes the holding point for everything else. So when I started an instrument, I started it like a martial artist would start it. When I thought about medicine, I had already been exposed to Chinese medicine by the age of 10 years old.
So there was a
So
discipline also. I'm sorry to have
there's
interjected, but there was
also
a discipline.
No,
Yeah.
you're right. Yes. Yeah. There's a discipline, a consistency, a focus on being able to let go of previous concepts and start over. That happened every time you learn something. And this helped me in years later when you're going on to your undergrad degree and your master's degree and your doctoral certificates and your other things, to have an approach and a method when things didn't quite go right. I had a discipline to try to trudge my way through everything and get it done. And sometimes the discipline to go it alone, because there are times where you can't do it with everyone around you, and you may not be getting the support from the community or from your family or your friends. But if your vision is clear, if you're sure you see what you're going for, then it's time to go for it.
That's a great point right there. You said, if your vision is clear and you see what you're going for, that's a great time to go for it. Okay. So you're starting with self-discipline, because it takes a lot to speak, to pour into yourself and to speak into yourself so that you move forward. Because you're right. When you don't feel that you're being supported by others and in other ways, that can take a lot from you. So that was a statement. That was a strong statement in and of itself. But but go right ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt too much.
No. This is the flow for me is, if you watch television or you listen to songs or you read certain things, you may get an expectation of what life is going to be for you. And it took me a long time to get to what I call evidence-based relationships. The evidence is clear that this is working. The evidence is clear that this is not working. The evidence is clear that however you want it to be, there are some things that need to change. The evidence is clear that what you're eating is making you sick. The evidence is clear that the path you're taking is driving you crazy. The evidence is clear of people who are supporting you or people who are not. And once I started to realize, I said, wow, that's across the board, evidence-based relationships. And if we think that way when we go to a physician, then we realize, wait a minute, I've been in healthcare for 30 years. Well, if you've been in healthcare for 30 years, there's no reason that you should have a chronic illness show up, because they've been checking you all along the way. If you go to an educational system, back to that point, if you've been in education for 12, 16, 20, 22, 23, 24 years, if you pay for that much education in your life, then it should be a successful outcome. There should be, I shouldn't see a child that I taught in the short time I taught in the Philly school system when I also taught in the prison and see that same child show up there a few months later. So my issues with education are evidence-based relationships. Either our educational system is working or it's not working. Either our medical system and how we're training our physicians is working or it's not working.
Well, to that point, what do you feel would improve it, or what changes? Yeah, I'm interested in that. You know what? Actually, I want to interrupt you for just one moment, because I feel like this response here is going to be so loaded that please hold on to that response, because we are going to take a break. Family, if you've just joined us, you're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. We're talking with Dr. Owen Brown Jr. And when we come back, we're going to get this loaded response that he's about to give us. Okay, so you just sit tight and stay with us, because we'll be right back.
Stand with WURD Radio, Pennsylvania's only black-owned talk radio station. Join the movement to keep the conversations going and amplify the voice of the black community. Show your support. Start or renew your WURD membership today at wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875.
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. And I realized it started with me going back and get my high school diploma.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? Now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player for the Indianapolis Colts. Becoming a running back was no easy task for me, but it's nothing compared to what my amazing mom faces every day. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14 years old, yet she's always there for me, every step of the way, despite her own battles. And the Muscular Dystrophy Association is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Their research is helping find cures and save lives. Watching my mom go through her daily struggles and the care she receives from MDA has made me determined to help find a cure for neuromuscular disease. That is why I support MDA, and that's why I'm so grateful to others who do too. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today.
I remember this one moment. I ran to kind of the water edge, and my mom said something along the lines of like, now it's your turn. Take that first step. When I became a mom myself, I feel like my whole world changed. There's some light within her that makes me continue to do the climate science work that I do. You don't have to be a climate scientist to want to protect the earth. As moms, we care about our children and the environment they grow up in. And for Mia, I want you to know that I worked really hard to be a part of the change and to make it a better place for you.
Imagine you on a deserted island all by yourself, or even being in a crowd of people yet still feeling alone. That's what being a victim of sexual assault can feel like. Victims of sexual assault are at an increased risk for developing depression, PTSD, substance abuse, eating disorders, and anxiety. Sexual assault can happen to anyone and is any unwanted sexual contact such as unwanted touching, fondling, groping, or even rape. No always means no, so speak up and speak out. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
Hey there, family. Welcome back. You are tuned into the second hour of Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. We're at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. I just want to remind you guys that you can feel free to email us too. You know, you can say, hey, you can email us a question, a comment, even a suggestion for a topic. We love it when you say, hey, though. I know I do. But you can do so by emailing us at loveandlife@wordradio.com. That's loveandlife@WURD, of course, radio.com. If you are just joining us, we've been talking with Dr. Owen Brown Jr., and we've been talking with him for the last hour about life. Do you hear me? And we've joined the journey. We've been listening to him inform us of what his journey has been thus far. And when I tell you, if you missed it, I'm going to suggest that you play the replay to hear all of what he had to share. But we left off the break because I said I was ready for this response that he was about to give. Dr. Brown said that he had some issues with traditional education, and he was talking about experiences. You're talking about evidence-based relationships. And I asked the question about how he felt, things could be changed or what suggestions he had. And he was about to answer. And I said, hold on. Just give us a minute because I know this is going to be loaded. So I ask, what do you feel should or could be changed? What would your suggestion be?
Well, the first thing is we leave a lot of the responsibility of what you do with your life up to our teachers, our professors, and our physicians. That's a mistake. These people work for us. When I have people who I call clients, even though I may be helping them with serious issues, I remind them often, I am working for you. I will do my best to help you. If I cannot help you, you should find someone who can. No one should ever be told, well, this is the path in your life or your health or your direction that is purely locking you into the opinion of somebody with a white coat, red coat, suit and tie, no suit and tie, whatever their particular apparel, officer, whatever. No one should be locked in with that. Your direction and where you arrive at, the things that you do in your life are your responsibility, your parents' responsibility, your community's responsibility. In the African American community, particularly, the disease rate and the rate of heart attack, high blood pressure, and these types of things, which are common for us.
Sure.
If you know 10 people, 7 of them are going to have one of these problems by the time they're 50. So that's letting us know the medical system is not working overall for us. And that needs to go into evidence. The evidence is we are eating things that are toxic, and yet they're still put into the food chain. Parents are not taught how to feed their children by their physicians in high school or in junior high or anywhere. We're not truly taught education about how to feed, nurture, and take care of ourselves. And it's not done on any kind of manner that's affecting us as a people. So if it's not working, change it. Change it. If the physician that's taking care of you for 10 years tells you, I don't know where this showed up, you're just suddenly sick, fire him. Get someone else. How do things just miraculous? What have you been doing the last 10 years that you were getting paid?
Wow.
As a musician, if I'm in a piece of music and after playing for 5 minutes, something sounds real bad, someone would say, you're fired.
This is true.
Yeah, and in the ancient days of Kemet and in Egypt and Africa and all of these other names that have been put on these lands, the concept was that if the physician or the person who educated you, if they were not able to provide what you needed to have a better quality of life and or health, they're not going to benefit from it.
Mm.
We live in the only society where a physician can actually be well paid and be losing their clients.
That is wow. That right there is a prolific statement. It really is.
So what should be is, I'm going there because these people have a high grade of health, not a high grade of care. So what we're seeing in our modern health and educational system is that we're losing people. People are coming out of college and not knowing how to run a business. They're coming out of college and they don't know how to relate with their children. Men are coming out and not knowing how to relate with women other than yelling and fighting and getting physical. Women are coming out thinking that men are supposed to be some kind of non-feeling creature without emotions that's supposed to be a provider. And that's what makes you a man. We're getting all these mixed, crazy signals that are not giving us an opportunity to heal and become healthy. And we see one generation, then we see the next generation, and we just keep allowing it. So when I think about education, whether it's at the university level, the high school level, or all the way down to elementary, my first thought is we're failing. We are not making it. We need to revamp our educational system. It is insane that our educational system is probably the one aspect of our society that is still operating like it's 1918.
Oof. That's a good point, though. I'm listening to everything you're saying, and it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense to me. And I think I might have to put that in my pocket, the evidence-based relationships, because the term alone, when you think about it, yes, when you think about it and you process it, there's a lot of truth to that. You know, there was something that you did mention, talking about, well, actually there were a few things that you mentioned. I want to go back to your history in the medical field. I want to talk about, you know, having been educated with regard to biology, and how you during your travels and in the industry became, well, quite honestly, so many refer to you as the guru, you know. So I would like to know at what point it began for you, when you became, I know when I was introduced to you as the guru, when everyone said, okay, well, you need to know who Owen is, because Owen, you know, Owen Brown is the end all be all when, you know, when it comes to vocalists and when it comes to vocal health. Yeah. Well, now, Owen, you know that, I know that to be true, that everybody in Philadelphia, in the tri-state actually, was saying
you know, I'm honored with the title. I would say it starts in the 80s when record labels start calling me saying, listen, I need you to impart some of your technical information, or I have a singer who is sick and I need you to help them. By the 90s, I had studied with a lot of people out of various types of therapies, vocal therapies, and oh God, it was just like a huge period for learning constantly how to help people who are having physical challenges with their voice, with their bodies, and with their health. And take everything, take the martial arts, take college education, take independent studies, take working as a combat medic. I'll tell you, I probably got more out of being a medic in the Army in terms of how I think about helping someone than so many other facets of my education. But the one thing is that I've never stopped studying. So I mentored under other people and kept learning. Dr. Pete Pahill is somebody who I have had mentorship from, who's another naturopathic doctor. Mentorship under Dr. Frank Wyatt, who's going on. Mentorship under various people out in the Asian community who would share their wisdom and some of their thoughts about how to make certain formulas. I consistently brought this into the music and the arts community. So by mid-90s, while I was in rehearsal at Whitney Houston's studio, people are like, well, listen, let's try and get Whitney down here so she could talk to you. You're right in the building. I'm going to wind up out of Death Row Records out in California for whatever is going on with the artists out there. And I started becoming this person who was moved around. And before I knew it, most of the R&B groups, I mean, I can pretty much go straight down the list of somebody who I've serviced, but most of them at some point or another started to call me for little bits, take care of my throat. How do I get rid of this thing? I was told I need surgery. Can you take care of it? And I said, yes, I can take care of it. Let's work. And I got results.
Well, I have two questions
Mary
for
J.
you.
Blige becomes the, go ahead.
Oh, no, go right ahead. I want to hear that, but I'll ask my two questions after that.
Okay. Mary J. Blige comes in around the year 1999. I think they tried to get me on her team. And I wasn't quite sure which way I was going to go with that. And then I was coaching a group called City High, which did quite well. And it was while I was coaching and working with Claudette and doing this that I wound up supporting Wyclef. And I was fortunate to, I was in the right place. Mary saw what I did and said, I need you more than the rest of them do. So with a little hesitation to go on the road and change my practice, I wound up supporting the entire Mary show. So I stayed on tour with them pretty much the entire year of 2000. So when people will say, who do you work for? And I would say, Mary J. Blige. What's your job? MGB Productions. That's who I work for. You know.
MJD, as we know and love. But now the one question that I have, so this started, you would say, what was the one incident or experience, I will say, because that's a better word to use. What was the one experience that started your journey to becoming the guru? Like, was it like how were you saying that it was with while you were working at the Whitney Houston studios, or was it prior to?
It probably starts. Okay, first make sure you put that martial arts element in there. So there was a philosophy that came along with the medical information, the herbal information, lifestyle information. So there was a bit of life coaching that was able to go on with the practice of your music. And you understood not just how to voice work, but how to work with people. And I was a replacement singer for a real hot minute. There was a pop group called Surface. Shower me with your love. Only you make me happy, closer than friends, all that. Right. So I was a replacement singer for Surface and wind up touring with that group, going to Asia and doing this and doing that. And it was, I think people got wind of me during that. And some people in P. Diddy's camp were working with me, and people over here were working with me, and everyone was like, you know, we need an artist, but we need a guy who can fix a whole lot of artists. So fix is the wrong word. Nurture, encourage, be that other voice of reason. And so fortunately, starting really around 95, the impetus starts to pick up, and I'm getting call after call from record labels. So far, I've worked for Hidden Beach, which is Jill's label because I worked with Jill. J Records under Clive, who's a very nice person. Atlantic Records. So Sony, several divisions. BMG out of London, and I could go on. So I would say at least 10 major labels in this time. You know, it's been a blessing.
Oh my, I remember all of that. I must say, because I'm telling you, when And I don't say it lightly. Family, let me just make you aware. If you've just tuned in, you are tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. And we're talking with Dr. Owen Brown Jr. I said just a few moments ago how when I was first made aware of Dr. Brown, everyone referred to you, and still do refer to you as, the guru, the vocalist guru. And quite honestly, when anyone ever mentioned you, Dr. Owen Brown Jr., what they would say is, "Oh, there's not a problem that he can't fix." It was
Wow.
there's not a problem. No, there's not a problem that he can't fix. But I want to know, because
Wow.
you said something a
That's
moment ago. I'm so
God
serious.
first.
Listen, always, you better know it. But you said something a
God
moment
first.
ago. I have a question for you. How was your experience as a medic in the military so instrumental? Because you made the statement that it was very instrumental. How so?
In the military, there are many different types of medical positions. A medic is somebody who knows from the very beginning that he's running into a hot scene or a battlefield. Hot means you may be getting shot at, someone's dropping explosives around you, you may be facing nerve agents, poisonous gas, or a variety of disabling factors. You have to run in there in a disabled position and face someone who's injured, make a quick assessment of what's going on with them, support them, and get them out. Not just get them out, but maybe get them back into action. That attitude applied in the musical field, in the artistic field, and in everyday life is, when someone comes to see me, whether it's for a sore throat or that they want to discuss their long-term chronic illness, my attitude is, I don't want to keep you. I am not your traditional physician. I don't want to see you 15 times. I want to get you back in the game. And I'm going to sit down with you and have real talk about how you got here. What have you done? How do I get you back to where you're supposed to get to? That's it. Simply. And if we all took that attitude, if we took that attitude towards education and other things, I'm like, wow, imagine if you said, listen, we're failing this person and we need to change our approach to that person because we're losing them. Not that we have to force them through our weird educational system and see them at the end of the educational process saying, well, they're a failure. No, we failed. And it should be the same in medicine. It should be the same in healthcare, physical fitness, social constructs, whatever it is that we've put together. If people are being lost in the process, go back and look at the process itself instead of looking so hard at the people.
There's a level of honesty that's required there.
Are you?
Yeah. Right. There's a huge level of honesty
and responsibility.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. So So around 95, it gets busy. 2000, it becomes very busy. Getting a chance to go from conversations with Stevie Wonder to conversations with Aretha Franklin to conversations with Felicia Rashad, to conversations with, and that's how I look at everything. These are conversations, and I'm doing my best to help you and support you. And Little Kim was a wonderful part of that process as well. She's a very giving person, and I can think about so many artists in that time, Glenn Jones, a lot of old school artists who had some issues would call me up and say, hey, how can you help? And of course, during all of this, I was fortunate to be brought into the team of Teddy Pendergrass. Because they said, listen, we want to get Teddy back on the road, but we need something special, because Teddy's like a lion that I had to wake up.
I love that way.
Right.
I love that. Teddy was he's like a lion. Then wait, I want
He's a lion.
That right. No, you know what? I don't doubt that. When I tell you, I don't doubt that at all. Oh my goodness, heavens to Murgatroyd family. Listen, if you've just tuned in, you're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. We're talking with Dr. Owen Brown Jr., and we've got so much more information and a few more stories. When we come back, we're going to take a break, so stay with us, okay? Because we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Tanya Hopkins, aka the Food Griot, the host of Savory and Sweet, a new show about food, history, and culture. Savory and Sweet is a flavorful exploration of food, marinated in the Black experience, seared with history and braised culture. Each week, I'll fold in conversations that center food and drink at the intersection of business, health and well-being, entertainment, education, and innovation, while separating the facts from fiction on the sometimes surprising origins of what we eat and drink. So join me, the Food Griot, and special guests for Savory and Sweet, Food, History, and Culture every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. exclusively on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
What do an aerospace engineer, cancer immunologist, and bat scientist all have in common? We all have cool jobs in STEM fields. Whether it's building robots or learning to code, girls everywhere are finding their passion for science, technology, engineering, and math through positive role models and mentors. So dare to dive in, get connected, and explore. You never know what your future may hold. Learn more about these and even more cool jobs at SheCanSTEM.com.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind. Take this time to talk and get it right. You know I'll be there all your life. When you need me, I'll be by your side. By your side. And every day is a different day. Everything is in everything. Even when you think things could never ever be the same. Don't be scared of the world, I'll be here to stay. By your side. Even when your heart ain't listening, or your mind takes you a different way, towards a different path. All you gotta do is sit and ask. When you need me, I'll be by your side.
When the adults in a child's life talk early and often about the dangers of underage drinking, the message gets stronger every time.
I'll be by your side.
Talk. They hear you.
Black Americans have died of COVID-19 at over 2 times the rate of white counterparts. This is due to systemic racism and healthcare disparities. Here are some tips for protecting yourself. Wear a mask covering your mouth and nose. Avoid crowds. Wash your hands with soap and water. Use alcohol-based sanitizers. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Practice social distancing and follow World Health Organization guidelines. Quarantine if you've been exposed to the virus. Self-isolate if you're experiencing symptoms. Seek medical attention if you experience difficulty breathing, a fever, cough, sudden confusion, or pressure in your chest. If you don't have health insurance or a healthcare provider, try contacting your state health department, community health clinics, or local hospitals for testing and treatment. Together, we can stay informed and empowered. This public service announcement is from the National Black Cultural Information Trust.
When I cross the finish line, it's not just me. I succeed because of others. When I was pregnant, I survived because of others. At 32 weeks, I was diagnosed with preeclampsia and had an emergency C-section. Because my doctor took quick action and my husband was there to help me, I'm alive. Too many women die of pregnancy-related complications, and most are preventable. If you or someone you know is pregnant or recently had a baby, learn the warning signs. It could help save her life. Hear her.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? Now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media.
Hey there, family. Welcome back. You're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. We're at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. And we've been talking with Dr. Owen Brown Jr. in tonight's episode. And we've been talking, as I stated earlier, about life. Okay, we've been talking about all kinds of life. And when I tell you, he has shared so much, I am tremendously grateful for that. I have a question for you because we've talked about, we've talked briefly about your years in the military as a medic, and you just shared with us before the break about the many labels and the different artists, the many artists with whom you've worked. What were your most challenging experiences with both in both the military and the industry?
Nah, that's a good question. Well, in the military, because the food is the most dangerous part of being in the military. That's the most dangerous part. In the military, you're going to get multi-vaccinated by 800 things that you can't, for 800 things you may never see. And the food is, let's just call it dangerous.
Okay.
We're talking high salt, high sugar, trans fats, all kind of preservatives, dyes, coloring agents. And so our servicemen who put their, and women who put their lives on the line are being fed some things which have long-term results. And this is why if you know anybody who's been in the military a certain length of time, you look at them years later, certain things start to show up. Because if they were in several years, that food is poisonous. It's flavored well. It's flavored well. Well, at least most of it is. It's flavored well. But a lot of the things that happen later is the food that you're putting in. You're constantly bombarded with food that has been raised improperly, seasoned improperly, packaged improperly, cooked improperly, served to you out of aluminum containers. I mean, we could go on. So by the time you're done, you're going to have some issues. And now the music industry is a little microcosm of the same thing. We take some of the most talented people in the world, put them on the biggest stages in the world, and then feed them poorly. And we, and then we put these huge budgets together. The budget includes everything from the sound man to the people who are out doing street team to what kind of airplay we're going to get and promotion. And then when it comes down to food at the bottom, we're going to give you some sandwiches or we're going to feed you food that's subpar. So these artists, because no time is really spent into putting proper nutrition together for artists, let alone supporting their mental status, they are literally doomed to certain types of things because the environment is not healthy for artists in the industry. A good model that went in the other direction, I remember when the Roots were kind of getting ready to make their surge. Every time I walked into Whole Foods, two or three members of the Roots were in Whole Foods. And I was like, yeah, that's it. That's where you're supposed to. That's awesome. So any day you might see Amir or Talib or any of the brothers through there. You might see thought come through. And so you're always going, wow, these guys, you're actually starting to invest something to make sure you'll be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. My first time at Ventura Boulevard, which is where Death Row was initially situated at, I was impressed that Dr. Dre was eating well and healthy food. And that's why he's a survivor.
He looks great. He looks good. Yeah.
Yes, he looks awesome.
He does. He does.
Consider the people who are 20 years younger than him.
Exactly. Well, let me ask you this. So, and I know you've worked with so many people, and there have been so many different issues that you've addressed. Can you give us an idea for our family members who are, unfamiliar with what it is exactly that you do? Can you give us an idea of one or some of the things that you have helped with, that you've repaired, and in what ways you've done so?
Okay. Yeah, and I'm going to be careful with using these words, because I'm definitely. Well, first, I'm going to say, listen. I give God the glory. I put God first.
Absolutely.
When I step in the door, I tell people, listen, whatever you heard, I don't heal anybody, but I may be an information gatherer. I may help put you on track. I can pray with you. I can direct you in some directions. But at the end of the day, there's a master healer that's over top of all of this. Let's put that out there first. Next, I have gotten a call for like the American Music Awards, where they say like the vice president or the president, I can't remember who, of A&M Records has lost his voice completely. And he has to speak. And we need you here for like 2 hours before everything starts taping. Can you get his voice back in 2 hours? Can you do it? I've been brought into major tours in Philadelphia, in New York, in Chicago, in Florida. I mentioned California already, Washington, Arkansas. I've been flown in literally because somebody's voice was gone, and you have a sold out audience.
So what do you do? What do you do in that case, in that instance?
Yeah. So let's talk about the skill sets I bring. One, I'm an herbalist. So I invented a formula that repairs damaged voices. That's called the SMT formula. So I fly in, I bring my SMT formula. I'm also a masseuse. There are pressure points in the body, throughout the body, that can be used to help the voice to work better.
Oh, wow.
I work with aromatherapy. There are things that I bring that they are going to smell. I put together concoctions that are going to go onto their body. I treat the entire room. Wherever that blue room is, wherever that artist is going to be, they bring me in and I have to fix it all. And I don't like that word fix, but I have to nurture it and support it all.
Right.
And at the end of the day, my rep is that if I'm there, that artist is going to make it. They're going to survive that night. So I've had people who showed up. Listen, I hadn't even done anything yet, and the artist is like, "Okay, I'm so glad." I'm like, "Wait a minute."
Right. Wow. So
it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure, but thankfully, I think because my head's in the right place. Evidence-based treatment, evidence-based relationships. I'm telling you, listen, if you give me the right information, I can usually help you to make the right decisions. And I have an unusual set of tools, as the man said in Taken. I have an unusual set of tools which I've developed in some very tenuous situations. And the same eye that I have to be able to pick out a target at a quarter mile out with a rifle, it's the same kind of focus that I have to work with an artist who's only got 45 minutes to 1 hour before showtime.
So you're brought in. There's an artist that has no voice and needs a voice for a show, has a show. So you begin by nurturing, supporting, and pretty much the massaging the energy first. Is that what you do first?
Okay, well, I can make it simpler. I work on their environment first.
Okay.
I make a quick check of their diet so I know what I'm working with. Your diet may create nutritional deficiencies. So one of the things that I can have with me, I may have certain vitamins or nutrients with me to help rebalance what's happening with that person's body. No matter what you do, your voice sits inside of a body. And if your body is cold, your voice is cold. If your body is wrong, your voice is wrong. Okay? the actual, if a person was well 30 minutes ago and now they're not, then more than likely it's something acute. I also work with homeopathics. Homeopathics borrows the energy of something. It's actually what vaccinations were based on. Homeopathics actually borrows the energy of something that would cause you to have that effect. And instead of giving you that effect, because they're not actually giving that to you, your body senses just enough of the energy and goes in the other direction, which is similar to the principle of giving a person a vaccination, where your body reacts to a small amount of it and it has an immune response to it and goes in the other direction, right? I'm simplifying.
Right. Of course.
So my arsenal is fairly large. And then I have sometimes they're little mechanical tricks. It might be taking apart the song, because maybe they have a couple of big notes in this song and they're not able to make it. So I would get into actually how they're actually making the note or making the sound, and tear it apart for them so that we can make it more simple, and sometimes, once in a while, I have to be the guy that gives the bad news and says, listen, I can write you out a chart for this song. We need to drop the key.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Right. So I've written out some charts for artists at the last minute and said, here, everybody, she will not be singing in this key after all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
that
that doesn't happen often, but it has happened. And sometimes it's just a blessing. You look at divas. If you look at Divas Live, the one and only Aretha Franklin. If you look back at the Mary J. Blige performance on that, if you look at that last little bit there, she does that little scat solo at the end of that. Those changes were mine. I wrote that out.
Owen?
For Aretha's band.
I was there. I was actually there. I performed
in that show.
I was there. I was there.
I remember the orchestra, and she had the gold dress on the whole bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was there.
I wrote those changes out for the orchestra. Wow, I didn't know you were there.
I was working with Jill at the time, because Jill was on the same show. So I was a part of that. I was a part of that show.
I probably have a picture. I probably have a picture of Jill and I clowning or something
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do, because the rehearsals were separate. Jill's rehearsal that day was with Aretha Franklin. We came in just before the late great. Oh my goodness! Wow, Owen. Yes.
Now wait a minute. I got to tell you something. That week, there's so many things that happened that week, but one of the things that happened that week was I wind up alone with Aretha. And I was dressed in my Boyd of London and my this and my that, and Aretha did one of these numbers. And she was fun.
My goodness,
I enjoyed her energy. But she gave me a concert. She gave me a concert myself.
I fell in love with her that day. I loved her as the artist prior to that day, but I fell in love with her as the human being that day at rehearsal.
Come on.
I fell in love. There's nothing you can say to me about her.
This is what I got from it, because she didn't sing for me. She played piano. And of course, this whole show, she's singing, and she went through and was pulling off some Oscar Peterson, Art Tatum stuff on Cherokee and a few other tunes, and it was like, I will never forget that. Having that kind of moment with her, and having it was like really a special.
It was a once in a lifetime experience. That's how I describe it when I recall it. When I tell anyone about it, it was a once in a lifetime experience. On that note, family, listen, we're going to take a break, okay? And when we come back, I'm going to ask Owen about some suggestions and advice and things of that nature. So stay with us, okay? Because we'll be right back.
Word on Jobs.
A new year is here, and if you're searching for new career goals or a new job that fits your skill set, visit wordworks.com to view jobs and program opportunities, including Community Relations Coordinator for WHYY, Disability Services Director for NBME, and Policy Director for Bicycle Coalition of Greater Philadelphia. Visit WordWorks at word.com and find the career opportunity that's right for you. Brought to you by Pico and Livelihood at Word Radio.
What do an aerospace engineer, cancer immunologist, and bat scientist all have in common? We all have cool jobs in STEM fields. Whether it's building robots or learning to code, girls everywhere are finding their passion for science, technology, engineering, and math through positive role models and mentors. So dare to dive in, get connected, and explore. You never know what your future may hold. Learn more about these and even more cool jobs at shecanstem.com.
We're often influenced by what we see or hear on social media. Beware of disinformation campaigns targeting Black communities by using cultural issues to incite divisions, spread false information, and negatively influence public opinions. We're in this together, and together we can stay informed and empowered. Learn more at nbcit.org. This public service announcement is from the National Black Cultural Information Trust.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind. Take this time to talk and get it right. You know I'll be there all your life. When you need me, I'll be by your side. By your side. And every day is a different day. Everything is in everything. Even when you think things will never ever be the same. Don't be scared of the world, I'll be here to stay. By your side. Even when your heart ain't listening, or your mind takes you a different way, towards a different path. All you gotta do is sit and ask. When you need me, I'll be by your side.
When the adults in a child's life talk early and often about the dangers of underage drinking, the message gets stronger every time.
I'll be by your side.
Talk. They hear you.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night, too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
Hey family, I'm Carol Riddick.
And I'm Donavan West, and we're the hosts of Love and Life, a new show about,
well, love and life.
This show is an informative, entertaining, and refreshing take on the hard conversations about love and life.
Each day, we'll provide real facts and honest opinions on dating, sexual health, casual, and committed relationships.
These late-night conversations will be served on a judgment-free platter and seasoned with unapologetic realness.
So join us Sunday night through Thursday night at midnight on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Independent Black Media.
Hey there, family. Welcome back. You are tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. We're at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. We've been having a great time tonight with none other than Dr. Owen Brown Jr., who's shared so much when I tell you. I mean, we've talked about his life. We've talked about bits and pieces, I should say, because he's not told us everything. But what he has shared, when I tell you, I'm exhausted, okay? But I would like to say, to our family on our socials, we know you're there too. And we so appreciate you. We appreciate all of you joining us in the midnight hour. It's always a great time with you. It's my pleasure and privilege, I have to be honest with you. But I have one more question for Dr. Brown. Dr. Brown, so what advice would you give or what suggestions do you have for, I want to say aspiring vocalists, but vocalists overall?
Ooh. Okay. Guys, get your pad. First, I hope you have a pad and pad, and pen and pencil and all kinds of things out so that you can actually write these down and keep one with you, because you never know when you're going to get a bit of joy or wisdom from someone. You all have iPhones. Open up a notepad in there and start keeping yourself little bits of wisdom. You know, the music industry is separate from music, but they both share something in common. You must have a plan or a way of working your way through these things. So the number one thing that in any business you must have is some kind of mentorship, because other than that, you are going to be working the wheel that someone else has already worked. So if you have proper mentorship, if you're a singer, find yourself 2 or 3 singers who've done some things you'd like to do. And mentorship is, a lot of people think that it's just someone who's just going to give you something for nothing and do it over and over until you get there. That could be weird, but I'm going to give you an example. Find somebody, because I've done this with many people, myself, where I've said, I really need to learn something of what you're doing. So listen, if it's taking notes or cutting your grass, I'll help you out with something until I have enough notes to help me on my path. Because the people who I'm looking to for mentorship, they don't need my money.
Right.
But they might need help with something. So find yourself a mentorship by hook or by crook. Find yourself a mentor and find someone who can help you. Number 2 is, we are judged as singers by how many emotions and musical moments that we can make happen for someone else. So that means if you tell me that you don't listen to other people's songs, I'm going to look at you like, and if you tell me that you don't know anything, you only listen to songs by one artist, I'm going to look at you like. So my standing assignment to all the singers that I've trained, and I'm talking about people with Grammys, like when they come into me for boot camp, I said, okay, listen, we're going to write out the lyrics to a whole bunch of songs, and then I'll get technically into what's happening in the throat with certain songs to help them produce that song better.
Nice.
When we are working in a studio, I've worked as a vocal producer at Platinum Records for Wyclef, or at Electric Lady up in New York, or down at Philly International, or we go in, I want those lyrics written out so that we can have some fun with it. Maybe you want to take an extra breath here. Maybe you want to add some extra emphasis to here. If you don't know your words, if you haven't studied the words of other people's songs, then you're going to walk into this unprepared. You really are judged by the number of songs you know. So my suggestion is, get out there and put yourself on a 7-song-a-week diet.
Nice.
Minimum.
Wow.
Minimum. And don't make it all R&B. Don't make it all gospel. Don't make it all jazz.
That right there.
Yes, because Whitney's biggest song, "I Will Always Love You," was a Dolly Parton song.
Exactly. Right.
And so learn country, learn jazz. If you're a singer today, You need to have at least 4 or 5 rap tracks under your belt that you can do.
How about
because
that?
you may have to turn into a lyricist and an MC in the middle of a track for a little bit. Any vocalist under the age of 60 should be at least able to pull off some hip hop tracks and be able to drop some MC lines without falling apart or sounding fake. So you got to practice this stuff, learn it. Your diet. Think about what you're eating. If you're telling yourself eating cheeseburgers and French fries and drinking and smoking and getting high is going to give you a career, I'm just going to tell you flat out. You don't have to see me now, but you will see me later, because this is going to eventually put you in somebody's office. So when they're talking to people about vocal nodules and throat, excess mucus, vocal fatigue, and canceling a tour that's costing your label or your production house, you are going to turn around and you're going to regret this. So my answer is know your diet, know your lyrics. Here's another big one. How can you be in the music industry 30 years and not learn an instrument?
Oh, wow. Well, an instrument besides voice.
About 50 vocalists. Besides voice. And listen. And I felt like they're all coming for me right now outside the door. But I will say this. I'll say this. I started the violin. It helped me with my singing. I learned a lot of bebop lines and complicated jazz things through the violin that would have fatigued my voice. I started working on piano because I had to back up singers. So now I can get called as a gig backing up a singer on piano or a violin. I learned the bass, not just because I wanted to learn the bass, but because Billie Holiday was told by Lester Young, your singing will never improve until you understand the bass. So he taught her how to hear what was at the bottom. Hearing it at the bottom changed what she did on the top, her phrasing. She started to learn to listen to the rhythm section in a different kind of way. And that's why she stopped being just a regular club singer and became one of the jazz queens of the century.
Absolutely.
So I would say for every singer who has a professional aspiration, turn off your Netflix or one of your things and take a music lesson. Take a lesson in bass.
No matter the age.
No matter the age.
No matter the age. Okay.
I started bass around 40.
Listen, oh my God, Owen, I'm telling you, it's so interesting to hear all of this. First of all, let me just say thank you. Thank you. A blanket thank you for all of the knowledge you've imparted. But family, I hate that we are at the point where I have to tell you that wraps up tonight's episode of Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. I'm extending the utmost gratitude to all of you for spending some time with us. You know I love your company, and you know your attention is always welcome and appreciated. Thank you to the entire WURD family, okay? And especially to our guest tonight, Dr. Owen Brown Jr. You have all of his socials. You are able to reach out to him. Family, have a great night. Have a great morning and have a great rest of your day. But remember, we are all in this together. So be good to you, but be good to those around you. And make sure you join us again at midnight for another edition of Love and Life on WURD. Have a good night and a good morning, y'all. If they
Hi, I'm Tanya Hopkins, aka The Food Griot, the host of Savory and Sweet, a new show about food, history, and culture. Savory and Sweet is a flavorful exploration of food, marinated in the Black experience, seared with history and braised culture. Each week, I'll fold in conversations that center food and drink at the intersection of business, health and well-being, entertainment, education, and innovation. while separating the facts from fiction on the sometimes surprising origins of what we eat and drink. So join me, the Food Griot, and special guests for Savory and Sweet, Food History and Culture every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. exclusively on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? Now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Oh, hey, Julia. Are you ready to play band with us? I'm going to play my clarinet.
And Elmo's gonna play his drum. Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
I remember this one moment. I ran to kind of the water edge, and my mom said something along the lines of like, now it's your turn. Take that first step. When I became a mom myself, I feel like my whole world changed. There's some light within her that makes me continue to do the climate science work that I do. You don't have to be a climate scientist to want to protect the earth. As moms, we care about our children and the environment they grow up in. And for Mia, I want you to know that I worked really hard to be a part of the change and to make it a better place for you.
Imagine you on a deserted island all by yourself, or even being in a crowd of people yet still feeling alone. That's what being a victim of sexual assault can feel like. Victims of sexual assault are at an increased risk for developing depression, PTSD, substance abuse, eating disorders, and anxiety. Sexual assault can happen to anyone, and is any unwanted sexual contact such as unwanted touching, fondling, groping, or even rape. No always means no, so speak up and speak out. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Lifting every voice
till earth and heaven ring.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.